911, what is the address of your emergency?
We need help.
Okay. What's going on there?
My son-in-law got in a fight with my daughter. I intervened, and I think he's in bad shape. We need help.
Okay, what do you mean he's in bad shape? He's hurt?
He's bleeding all over, and I may have killed him.
He can show you how to place your hands, but I need you to stay calm.
I'm certified. I just can't think.
Okay, you have to stay calm. Let your training take over. 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Good. 2, 3, 4.
3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
This frantic 911 call was made by 64-year-old Tom Martens, describing the horrific situation of his house.
Yes. So there's a history of domestic violence at the house? Was Jason Reay was in?
Yeah. Yes.
Would you say that she thought he was drunk?
Yes, he was drunk. He choked me, couldn't find the show, and he screamed.
Molly Martens, wife of 40-year-old Jason Corbett, claimed that she hit Jason for self-defense.
He's got Molly by the throat. I hit him with a baseball bat. And he reaches out and he grabs the bat. And he's stronger than I am. And he pushes me down. And I'm scrambling on the floor, glasses fall off. Now I'm thinking, who's gonna kill me?
But something did not sit right. When investigators dug deeper, they were horrified at learning the evil secret that his wife had been hiding. On the evening of August 1st, 2015, Molly's parents, Tom and Sharon, made an unplanned visit to their daughter and son-in-law's home. They arrived around 8 p.m. after a 5-hour drive from Tennessee to North Carolina. The family shared pizza and drinks before everyone retired for the night. Tom and Sharon to the basement, Jason and Molly to the main bedroom on the first floor, and the kids, Jack and Sarah, to their rooms upstairs. Around 3 a.m., Tom suddenly woke up, startled by loud thumping and shouting from above. Sharon woke up too, but Tom told her to stay put as he grabbed the baseball bat he had brought for Jack and headed upstairs. The noise was coming from Jason and Molly's bedroom. When Tom opened the door, he saw Jason choking Molly.
So I opened the bedroom door. And he's got Molly by the throat, like this. He sees me coming, and he goes around her throat, like this.
Shocked, he pleaded with Jason to let her go, but Jason didn't back down. Instead, he used Molly as a shield and moved toward the bathroom, threatening to kill her if Tom didn't stay back. Acting on instinct, Tom swung the bat, striking Jason's head. Jason fought back, grabbing the bat with one hand while still holding Molly in a chokehold. Fueled by adrenaline, Tom wrestled the bat free, causing Jason to stumble and lose his grip on Molly. She managed to escape, but Jason, enraged, charged at Tom. In the chaos, Tom continued striking Jason, driven by the need to protect his daughter. After a brutal struggle, Jason collapsed and stopped moving. Shaken, Tom called 911 to report what had happened. When the police and paramedics arrived shortly after the 911 call, they found a shaken Molly and Tom at the door. Tom told officers that Jason had been drinking heavily all evening and had attacked Molly. Inside the house, they discovered a horrifying scene. Jason lay naked on the bedroom floor, his head brutally beaten. Blood spatters covered the walls, and furniture was overturned in the room and hallway leading to the bathroom. Paramedics attempted CPR, but Jason was pronounced dead at the scene. After his body was removed, investigators began collecting evidence, while Molly and Tom were taken in for questioning. At the station, officers photographed Molly and Tom before interviewing them separately. Tom recounted finding Jason choking Molly and said he acted out of instinct to save his daughter. He admitted he didn't particularly like Jason but had kept things civil. As the interview ended, Tom made a shocking claim. Jason's late wife, Mags, had died under suspicious circumstances, a statement that unsettled the officers.
First wife died in mysterious circumstances. Finding was that she had an asthma attack in his car. She died of 6-inch.
In a separate room, Molly shared a similar account but added new details. She explained the fight started after Sarah came to their room following a nightmare. Jason, irritated by Molly babying Sarah, began arguing. Molly, feeling secure with her parents in the house, stood her ground. She didn't expect the argument to turn violent.
Yes. So the history of domestic violence in the house? Was Jason bringing us in?
Yes.
Would you say that she thought he was drunk?
Yes, he was drunk. He choked me, couldn't wearing the shirt, and he screamed.
Molly also explained the presence of a bloodied brick in the bedroom, saying it was meant for an art project with the kids. She admitted to using it to hit Jason, fearing he would overpower her father and kill him.
I hit him on the head.
Molly also revealed this wasn't the first incident of domestic violence, claiming their relationship had been strained for years. The officers assured her the case was being treated as self-defense. After 7 hours at the station, Molly and Tom were allowed to return home. But as the investigation unfolded, deep family tensions and shocking revelations began to emerge, turning the case into a media sensation with conflicting stories. When news of Jason's tragic death reached his family in Ireland, they flew to North Carolina to be with his children and uncovered the truth about what happened.
Who called you to say what?
Sharon Martens called me at about 6:10 in the evening.
She
being? Molly Martens' mother. And she just said that Molly and Jason had an argument. Molly pushed Jason, Jason hit his head, and Jason is dead.
Jason's sister, Tracy, was particularly shocked to hear accusations of domestic violence against her brother. Tensions between the Corbett and Martens families quickly became apparent. After Jason's autopsy on August 3, 2015, Molly expressed a desire to have him cremated, but Tracy strongly opposed the idea. Ultimately, Molly agreed to let Tracy take Jason's body back to Ireland on the condition that his family cover all funeral expenses.
So we ended up where there was 2 sets of attorneys actually negotiating with Molly Martens for her to sign the release paper so we could send Jason home to his parents. And she eventually agreed once we paid all expenses up to that day and for anything after that.
Meanwhile, a heated custody battle erupted between Molly and Tracy over Jack and Sarah. The children, who were temporarily living with Molly at her brother's house in Charlotte, North Carolina, were placed in protective custody by the Department of Social Services. Molly contested Jason's will, which had granted full custody of the children to Tracy and her husband David. However, the court upheld Jason's wishes, awarding custody to Tracy. On August 23, 2015, Jason was laid to rest in his hometown of Limerick, Ireland. Despite the court's decision, Molly made numerous attempts to contact the children, including reaching out through social media and appealing to Irish newspapers and radio stations. All her efforts failed, but her persistence caught the attention of the media. Soon, Molly found herself at the center of a storm, her personal life exposed to public scrutiny. Both Molly's and Jason's families, along with their close friends, began sharing their sides of the story with newspapers and television outlets, creating a media frenzy around the couple's relationship. Jason's loved ones insisted he was nothing like the person Molly described. They portrayed him as a kind and romantic man, deeply devoted to his family. Mag's family also denied ever suggesting that Jason was involved in her death, directly contradicting Tom's claims during his police interview. Meanwhile, Molly's friends told reporters that Jason was controlling and that Molly had grown unhappy with her life in North Carolina.
Things weren't right.
Like what?
Controlling behavior, some of the bad language and calling her names, and then it just progressively got worse.
The Corbetts pushed back, revealing that Jason had doubts about marrying Molly even before the wedding. They claimed that shortly after Molly began working for Jason, he discovered she had lied about her qualifications and past. Molly had neither graduated from Clemson University nor earned a Montessori teaching qualification. A former roommate of Molly's alleged she had fabricated a story about having a sister who died as a child. Even more damaging were the claims from Molly's ex-fiancé, Keith McGinn. He revealed that they had lived together for a year before Molly abruptly ended their relationship via email, just a week after moving to Ireland in March 2008. Keith also disclosed that Molly had been diagnosed with a mental health condition and was unfit to work as a nanny, having recently spent time in a psychiatric facility before leaving for Ireland. With the media tearing apart Molly's character, doubts about her credibility began to surface.
First time I met her, I was just floored because she was stunning. To her credit, she did tell me early on that she had bipolar. She was no longer able to work or anything.
Investigators started to question the reliability of her statements. Instead of relying solely on the divided opinions of family members, they turned their attention to evidence, paper trails, neighbors, and friends who had witnessed the couple's life firsthand. Investigators uncovered that shortly after their wedding, both Jason and Molly had consulted separate lawyers and were considering divorce. Molly had been informed that to have legal rights over Jason's children, she would need to adopt them. This raised questions, as it seemed the children were a central concern for both parents. Finding this a valid point, investigators moved on to questioning the couple's friends. Jason's friends described him as a fun-loving man who deeply cared for his family. In contrast, Molly's friends claimed she often complained about her marriage, pointing to Jason's heavy drinking and the heated arguments that followed. Dr. Craig Nelson, the coroner who conducted Jason's autopsy, confirmed that Jason's death was caused by blunt force trauma to the head. However, there were some inconsistencies. While the exact number of blows couldn't be determined, Dr. Nelson estimated that at least 12 heavy strikes had been delivered to Jason's head. Most of these blows were aimed at the back of his head, raising questions about why Molly and Tom felt the need to defend themselves against a man whose back was to them during the attack. Additionally, the coroner noted that some of the blows were inflicted after Jason had died, as there was no fresh bleeding around those wounds. The toxicology report also raised new questions. While Molly and Tom had claimed Jason was heavily intoxicated that night, his alcohol levels were surprisingly low for someone his size and wouldn't have impaired his judgment. Even more puzzling was the presence of trace amounts of trazodone, a strong antidepressant and sleep aid in Jason's system. This led investigators to examine both Jason and Molly's medical histories. With a search warrant, investigators dug into the family's medical records and discovered that Jason had visited the local clinic weeks before his death. A nurse confirmed that he had complained of feeling agitated, irritable, and prone to sudden outbursts of anger, symptoms linked to trazodone side effects. But Jason had never been prescribed the medication. In a surprising twist, investigators found that Molly had been prescribed trazodone just days before Jason's death, on July 30th, 2015. With this new information, investigators turned their focus back to the crime scene evidence. Blood spatter expert Stuart James noticed several inconsistencies between the blood patterns and the statements made by Tom and Molly. He pointed out that dents on the walls suggested the bat had struck them as Tom tried to fend off Jason. However, the dents also hinted that Jason may have already been falling or on the ground at the time. The height of the blood splatter suggested Jason was either kneeling or lying close to the floor when struck. If he had been standing, the blood would have splattered higher up on the walls and ceiling. James also examined the blood splatter on Molly's pajama pants and Tom's boxer shorts. Based on the spray pattern, he concluded that both would have had to be standing above Jason while hitting him with the bat for the blood to land on those areas of their clothing. Blood was also found on the bed sheets and pillow, suggesting the first blow to Jason's head may have occurred while he was sitting or lying on the bed. First responders noted that Jason's body felt cold to the touch, implying a delay in calling for help. They also observed that neither Molly nor Tom sought medical assistance when offered, and showed little blood on their clothes despite attempting to perform CPR. When police took photos of Molly and Tom before questioning them, neither showed any signs of injury, which raised suspicions. Both had described a violent confrontation with Jason, yet appeared unharmed. Though investigators couldn't confirm the true state of Jason and Molly's marriage, they had serious doubts about the self-defense claim. One glaring issue was Sharon's behavior. As the only other adult in the house, she didn't rush upstairs to check on her daughter or Jason, even though a dangerous confrontation was unfolding. Her apparent indifference raised eyebrows. Adding to the suspicion was the so-called surprise visit by Molly's parents that Saturday night. Phone records revealed multiple calls to her parents before their arrival, contradicting the idea of an unplanned visit. Another mystery revolved around Jason's missing laptop. When investigators searched the home, the device was nowhere to be found. Yet, Jason's daughter, Sarah, had told them she saw her father using it the night before the incident. This laptop could have been crucial, as investigators hoped to verify Tracy's statement that Jason had been booking a flight to return to Ireland with the kids. A neighbor's account deepened the doubts. He said he spent the afternoon of August 1st, 2015 with Jason, mowing lawns and sharing a few beers. According to him, Jason was in good spirits and far from drunk, which clashed with Molly and Tom's claims that his drunken rage sparked the fight. These conflicting accounts made investigators question whether Jason's death was premeditated. The investigators and prosecutors began piecing together possible motives. Molly's intense desire to become a mother to Jack and Sarah stood out. After Jason's death, she had made several attempts to gain custody of the children. There was also Jason's $600,000 life insurance policy, a tempting sum that couldn't be ignored. But the most damning evidence came from the crime scene photos. Experts believed the blood patterns and wounds showed Jason had been attacked while lying down, unable to pose any threat to Tom or Molly. With these findings, prosecutors were ready to act. Arrest warrants were issued for both Molly and Tom, charging them with second-degree murder and involuntary manslaughter. The case was finally moving toward uncovering the truth. On December 18, 2015, Tom Martens and Molly Corbett were arrested and charged with second-degree murder. Both pleaded not guilty and managed to post the $190,000 bond each, securing their release from jail on January 4, 2016. Their trial was scheduled together and began on July 17, 2017. The defense team relied heavily on the self-defense claim made by Tom and Molly, but faced a major setback. Jason's children, Jack and Sarah, had recanted their earlier statements after returning to Ireland. The defense ultimately decided that Tom, not Molly, would testify. During his testimony, Tom described the events of that night, claiming he acted out of fear for his and Molly's lives. He portrayed Jason as enraged and dangerous, saying he had no choice but to use force to protect them both.
I certainly felt he would kill me. I felt both of our lives were in danger. I did the best I could. Once I got control of the bat, I hit him until I considered the threat to be over. And when I considered the threat to be over, I quit hitting him.
Did Jason make it
the threat to be over when he went down?
However, the prosecution quickly challenged his account. They pointed to the lack of injuries on either Tom or Molly, arguing that it didn't match the story of a violent struggle with someone of Jason's size. Prosecutors also focused on the crime scene evidence, with blood spatter expert Stuart James and coroner Dr. Craig Nelson calling attention to the excessive nature of the attack. James referred to the scene as overkill, emphasizing the repeated unnecessary blows Jason suffered. After 4 hours of deliberation, the jury delivered their verdict on August 9, 2017. Tom and Molly were both found guilty of second-degree murder and sentenced to 20 to 25 years in prison. Tom remained composed as the verdict was read, but Molly broke down, crying and pleading for forgiveness from her mother. Yet, this marked only the beginning of another chapter in the case. The defense appealed the jury's verdict, citing jury misconduct during the first trial. They claimed that jurors had formed opinions about Molly due to media influence, and that some admitted to discussing the case despite the judge's instructions not to. While the initial appeal was denied, the defense didn't give up. In 2021, they took their case to the North Carolina Supreme Court, which granted a retrial. As a result, Tom and Molly were released from prison, and the retrial was set for November 2023. At the retrial, both Tom and Molly accepted a plea deal. The second-degree murder charges were dropped, with Tom pleading guilty to voluntary manslaughter and Molly pleading no contest to the same charge. neither admitting or denying guilt in Jason's death. This time, the defense strategy shifted, focusing on allegations of domestic violence against Molly. They presented statements from Jason's children, Jack and Sarah, which they argued were only recanted after the children moved to Ireland.
There are a number of statements from the children, including "Dad got mad for no reason." It was error to exclude them.
The defense also played a recording of an argument between Jason and Molly to support their claims. Jack and Sarah attended the trial, pleading with the judge not to show leniency toward Molly, warning against falling for what they described as her manipulative ways. After much consideration, both Tom's and Molly's sentences were significantly reduced to a minimum of 4 years, with credit given for the time they had already spent. In June 2024, Tom and Molly were released from prison under the condition that they could not live under the same roof. The case of Jason Corbett has sparked endless debate. Was it a tragic instance of domestic violence or clever manipulation by Molly? The truth remains uncertain, leaving it up to you to decide. With all the twists, evidence, and unanswered questions, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think that this was truly self-defense? Or does it look more like a calculated cover-up for murder? Let us know your take in the comments below. If you found today's story intriguing, don't forget to hit that like button, share it with fellow true crime enthusiasts, and subscribe to Behind the Crime for more gripping cases. Got a crime story you'd like us to cover? Drop it in the comments, and we might feature it in our next video. Until then, stay safe and stay curious.